bring in Creighton student athletes. Hi. Emma and Lauren are joining us today. If you have a question for either of them, please raise your hand and we'll get a microphone to you. Back left.
Yeah, I guess first, just when you saw the crowd yesterday and then found out you were going to be playing on ABC, what were some of the things that started to go through your mind as you realized this is going to be quite a significant viewing audience tomorrow, both in person and on TV?
Yeah, I mean,
I was going to say, let's go left to right. We'll start with you.
for me, I'm really excited to play on this, and I think all my teammates can say the same. We're really excited to play in front of a crowd, even though it's going to be a little skewed towards Iowa, I think, because it's a home court advantage for them. But nonetheless, I think we're all really still excited about just being able to play in front of this kind of stage, because this is what March Madness is, just playing in front of a crowd like this. So I'm really excited.
Yeah, just kind of echoing everything that Emma said. It's obviously going to be a really fun game, with that crowd and ABC at noon. And so it's going to be fun. And like Emma said, this is what March Madness is about. So I'm definitely excited, and I know the whole team is as well.
Susan, front right.
Susan Harmon, Hawk Fanatic. For each of you, looking back at your scrimmage in October, whenever it was, do you think you guys and Iowa have both changed in any ways, and if so, what?
Start with you, Lauren.
I think we have. Obviously that was the end of October and now it's March, so we've obviously progressed and grown in different ways, but we're also the same, in a lot of senses. And so they've gotten better, we've gotten better. And so, yeah, I think there's a difference in that, but.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with Lauren. Every team, I think, can say that they've gotten better from October to now. And it's just about every day getting better, progressing with each other. And for us, I think we've gotten better every day. And I'm assuming Iowa can say the same about themselves. So I think it's just going to be a total different ball game tomorrow as it was in October.
In the back.
Sam McCune from the World Herald. I have one question about two different players for both players. For Lauren, you guarded Caitlin Clark in practice last year, so you know what it's like to guard her. What does it take to guard her well? And then for Emma, Monica Cisnano is shooting 70% from the field. So if each of you could talk about guarding those respective players.
Mm-hmm.
Lauren, we'll start with you.
Obviously Caitlin is like a great player leading the nation in scoring. And it honestly takes a whole team effort. She can do so much, shoot the three. She's obviously got very deep range. She can drive it. And so just trying to be as fundamentally sound as you can and just like do your best, and also relying on, if you do get beat, relying on that help from your teammates.
Yeah, and when it comes to guarding a player like Monica, I mean, I am undersized for a 5. I think a lot of people would consider me undersized for a 5. I would consider myself undersized. But I think it's just really paying attention to detail for me, just doing what my coaches want me to do, listening to scout, just being prepared. I think just being prepared and coming into the game knowing that we can all play with them is just going to be really good for us. And I think we've got a really good game tomorrow.
Lauren, I'm just curious to kind of ask you about it yesterday, but just how you're handling the emotions of being back here, so soon in your career after you left, and, how you're processing those and, compartmentalizing them in the right ways for you to be effective.
Obviously being back in Carver and everything, it's fun for me. We were here in October, and so I feel like that's helped, I've seen the team, I played against the team, and there's no bad blood or hard feelings or anything, and so that's good. But I'm excited, it's kind of fun to be back here and playing in Carver.
Jeff, front left.
Just kind of jumping on that, can you kind of take us through the process of maybe about 11 months ago when you decided to go to leave and then to go to Creighton, how that all just kind of transpired?
Yeah, so when I decided to enter the portal, I had some places in mind, but with obviously Creighton being one, but I kind of approached it with more of an open mind and wanted to talk to, give the majority of schools a chance. And when I ended up picking Creighton, I knew it would be the right fit, and it has been. And it's kind of crazy, a full circle moment being back here, almost like a year later since when I entered the transfer portal. But the whole process went smoothly and adjusting to Creighton and just the team and everything.
In the back left.
Yeah, just to follow up on the Sedano question, you've faced Maddie Seegers, Raven People, Sydney Cooks, UConn's front line. There's a lot of players that seem similar in that regard in terms of having to deal with a potent five. How similar is this matchup in that regard in terms of leaning on past experiences from this season?
Yeah, I think we can definitely me personally can take a lot of learning lessons from the other teams that we've played in the Big East. Big East is more of positionless, I would say, than the Big Ten is. But I could still say the same for guarding Sydney Cooks at Seton Hall is very similar to Sedano because they both are bigger than me, and I can just use that as a learning lesson for tomorrow. So, yeah.
Sam.
Yeah, I had a question about Morgan. She has an opportunity. I see the smiles too. Does she know how good she is sometimes, or like the potential that she has to go off and have a huge scoring game when you might really need it tomorrow?
Emma.
Morgan's just one of those players. She's so low key with her talents. Like, you would never picture her as being this like monster basketball player. Like, she is so good and she is so humble about it. And it's just so cool to me, just seeing like she could have 3 points in the first half and finish the game with 23. Like, it's just wild that she can just stack up her stats that much in that little amount of time. So, yeah, she's definitely very dangerous, and I think a lot of people are going to have a hard time with scouting her because she is so versatile. She can score in the post, and she can shoot the three like no other. So I'm very excited to see how they're going to match up with her tomorrow.
Yeah, like Emma said, she creates mismatch problems, and so that can sometimes be a challenge for people to guard. And she does score in spurts. She can just turn down at any point, and it's really fun to watch. And she is like super low key, super chilling if she's off and maybe not shooting the best or really getting the ball to fall. She doesn't force it or anything, and she knows that it could be someone else's night. And so I think that's really great about her.
Jeff on the left.
Coach Bluter said that she expects a track meet. You guys kind of play the same brand of ball, high assists. You guys very low turnovers, very efficient. Do you see this as being a score, a really high scoring game where there's a lot of running and all that?
I'm sorry. Lauren?
Yeah, I would agree with that. We're both, I'd say more offense oriented. Iowa has a great offense, and we like to get up and down and run the court and play faster. And so I would definitely agree with what Coach Bluter said earlier.
Emma?
Yeah, I would agree with that as well. I think that for us to be successful, we've got to slow them down on offense because they are such a good offensive team, and they've got so many offensive talents on their team. And same as us, I think on our offensive end, we just have to push pace because it's going to be a track meet, and it's just going to be as who gets there first.
Back left.
How do you guys react when Tatum barks at Flan and basically turns into a player coach?
Emma.
Yeah, it's just kind of like regular. I wouldn't say it's like super out of the blue when you hear that stuff, but you kind of just have to take when Tatum gets heated in those moments, you just got to take a step back and just like understand where she's coming from. She's a senior and this is her last go at basketball, so you just have and I have so much respect for her. She understands the game, she knows what she's talking about, so you kind of just have to go with the flow and just understand where she's coming from.
Yeah, Tatum is a very competitive person, and I love that. She definitely gets us all fired up. And like Emma said, she's a fifth-year senior. She's been around. She's the leader of this team, and her and Flan have a great relationship. And so, when that interaction happened, they were able to or Flan was able to like hear what Tatum was saying and like work through that. And so, yeah, they have a good relationship.
We have time for a couple more questions if you have them. Susan?
Susan Harmon. Can you guys, is somebody on your schedule sort of similar to Iowa? I know Clark and Susanna were sort of outliers, but the way they play, besides being sort of similar to you guys, I guess.
Lauren?
Honestly, I'd say the team that might be most similar is Nebraska, just speaking in the sense of that they have bigger posts, because the Big East is more guard oriented, and so you don't see a lot of posts like Monica down there. It's more like hybrids like Emma. And so in terms of that, I'd say probably Nebraska.
Yeah, I mean, I would also say Nebraska, but I think you could also make a case for DePaul because DePaul is so good on offense and sometimes struggle on the defensive end. And they've obviously got Anissa Morrow, probably the best freshman in the nation right now. So I'd say Nebraska and DePaul.
Seeing no other questions, thank you so much for your time, Lauren and Emma. Good luck tomorrow.
Thank you.
We'll have Creighton head coach Jim Flannery here in a little bit. Absolutely. Okay, Coach, if you'd start with an opening comment about tomorrow's matchup, and then we'll open it up to questions from the media.
Yeah, well, first of all, we're thrilled to have gotten the opportunity to play a first-round game and thrilled to advance. And we have great respect for Iowa, their staff, their program, their players. We've scrimmaged them probably the last 10 or 11 years, right around Halloween. And, we have a great relationship with them, and that's why we've kind of kept it as a scrimmage. And, we've always felt like we learned a lot when we played them, and now we, and it never really felt like we had to win when we come over here. It was I always thought it was more of a learning tool. If we won, great. If we didn't win, it was not a big deal. Tomorrow that won't be the case. And we've always scrimmaged in front of some people at the scorer's table and a few bench personnel, and tomorrow we'll be playing in front of 15,000. So it'll be a little bit more challenging in that way. But if you're a coach or a competitor, what more would you want for? It's great for the sport, and it's great for the two teams who will be involved tomorrow.
We'll start in the back left.
Maddie Marina's White and Blue Review. I thought you were going to come with something planned, but you didn't.
I got a good one before you guys leave. I want to tell you.
Okay.
Remind me to tell you.
That's what I was expecting.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry. Tomorrow you're going to get the ABC time slot along with the crowd. Have you thought at all about what this means for your program to be on this stage, and what's your anticipation level going into it?
Until you just brought that up, Matt, no, I had not thought a lot about that. But and I haven't mentioned it to the team. I mean, I don't know if they're of an age that they know that there's that much difference between ABC and ESPN, or, for someone of my generation, when there were 3 television stations and public television was the 4th, and then later Fox came, and then, way back before cable. But I don't know if they understand. But I think it's great, but I haven't thought about it a lot yet, but maybe over the next 24 hours I will. I figured we'd get a pretty good slot because I know, Caitlin is much must-watch TV to a large degree, and that's great for our sport. And, so tomorrow will be great for Creighton women's basketball. I know it's more about Caitlin and Iowa's program, but we have a chance to be there and make a statement and show what our program's about tomorrow. And so that's exciting. And I think if you're, when we get past it, I think we'll look back and think that it was a great thing. But right now, Matt, no, not that much.
Jeff, front left.
Yeah, Jeff Linder, Cedar Rapids Gazette. So just kind of tell us, what's the structure like of that, the super secret get-together in October? Is it a 40-minute game? I imagine you don't, the scoreboard's not on, as far as the score is concerned. How successful were you in October against them? What
Sure.
did you take out of that?
Sure. Well, it used to be super secret, and then they kind of relaxed the rules and let you release a box score, right, Glenn? And typically we've played it. We play a 40-minute scrimmage with a halftime, and then typically Lisa and I will agree to say, hey, let's play one extra quarter, and maybe the kids that didn't get to play as much will play an extra 10 minutes. Or in the past, we've done some things like that where we'll go a little bit longer. And I know Lisa's competitive because I've always probably used my bench a little bit more during those 40 minutes than she has, and she usually counts on those last 10 minutes. But I always, from my standpoint, it's like, let's get through the first 3 quarters, and then if the game's there to be won, we'll try to win it. If it's not, we also just want to look at our younger players and look at combinations and what are, let's get better at execution against somebody who doesn't know us as well. So it's a learning experience, but I think it becomes competitive down the stretch. I can tell you one year we were playing over here, and I think the fouls were 9 or 10 to 1 against us. And one of the officials walks by and he goes, I'm guessing if this was a regular game, you'd be yelling at me a little bit more. And I said, yeah, probably, but it's okay. So, you know, you're just not as, I know Fran McCaffrey does not take that approach, but, because I've talked to people who've worked his scrimmage, but, you know, you don't bark at the officials and get uptight about some of the small stuff that you do maybe in a regular game. But it's a great experience, and we've done it every year because we like I said, we like their staff, we like their program, and we feel like we get a lot out of it.
Sam from the Omaha World Herald,
Yeah,
head coach.
Sam.
Okay, so Caitlin Clark obviously is sort of, it's almost like she's variable X, but when you think
Yeah.
about Monica Cisnano, like what is the challenge there? Assuming Caitlin gets the points that she gets, because she usually does, how important is it for you guys to slow down the center, and how do you do it?
Yeah, we actually spent a lot of time in our half practice. It's kind of a halfway between a practice and a shoot around, usually on a day like today. We're with our post working on just her tendencies and being, you know, what do we want to do on the left block or the right block? How do we greet her when she dives into the post, and what in transition? You know, we probably spent more time on her than Caitlin, just because, to your point, Caitlin is going to get hers, and Monica to some degree too, but I feel like Monica is a key. We did a good job on her in the scrimmage. I mean, she hurt us in the second half more, but yeah, I feel like she's a big key because she's just so efficient, and she's a product of a team that shoots it well and passes it well too. Like, right, she's if you don't have to guard them, extend out to the 3 line the way you do on all of them, and if they're not a great passing team, but she's so efficient in terms of just that catch and quick finish. So we got to execute the things that we talked about, and if she beats us doing the things that we don't think she's quite as good at, then we live with that. I mean, I can tell you when we played, you know, Megan Gustafson, you know, a few years ago in the NCAA tournament, we kept, you know, we hammered all week, right shoulder, because she's a left-handed player. And the first 3 times she caught it, she went left shoulder, and our kids are looking at us like, what are you guys telling us? But sometimes when they're that good, they're that good. So, but you still got to make them do what they have shown that they're maybe a little less capable of on film.
Matt?
Do you remember the first time Tatum kind of spoke up at you, and and how that kind of morphed into something that you kind of just understand to be her competitive nature and value it for what it's worth?
I don't. It probably occurred in practice, and now that she's a 5th year, she feels a little bit more emboldened to be able to do it in a game. But yeah, it was. I don't know if it was obvious yesterday, but during the timeout, as we came to the timeout, she's like, "Put another ball handler in." And she's done that a couple times, and you know, in the moment you don't love it because you think that there's, you know, kind of this questioning of authority, but 2 seconds later, after I breathe, I love it because she's a competitor, and you know, she's made her point, and now I'm going to either think about it and do it or don't do it, and all's fine 10 seconds later, but I think that's a part of what's made her an effective leader. Like, she's not afraid to call out her teammates, and once in a while we'll even be like, well, Tatum, I watched you the last, you know, in practice, I watched you the last possession and you didn't do that, but I think that's, you know, I think that's what's made her a good leader, is that she's willing to speak up. And, you know, I try to empower our players. I ask them once in a while, what do you think? What do you want to do on this? You know, what do you like? in this situation. And so I think it's partly a product of that we empower her that way. But yeah, in the moment it can be a little. I've experienced it before. I've had players in the past. I had a player one time tell me, I said, "Would you back cut one time?" And she goes, "I just did. Watch the film."
Madigan.
I know she had a role in 2018 when you guys were in the tournament too. But what was it like, having Connie as an assistant again yesterday? I noticed some of the exchanges seemed like I was watching those early 2000s coaching staffs again. What was that like for you guys?
Yeah, it's been the last 2 years. For those of you who don't know, Connie's role is program advisor, so she hasn't been in a coaching role. But then last year with COVID, and then with Carly's pregnancy this year, she's been activated to where she is actually a accountable coach within games, and so therefore she's able to provide direct feedback and insight, et cetera. And so it's been good. I feel like she's been more willing to do that because of, early on it was like, I think harder for her to do that because she felt like maybe that wasn't her role, but she's kind of become more willing to speak up, and it's good because I think she's got a different perspective than, the rest of us even, and, she has head coaching experience, and she'll often say, "I know you're thinking about this, but," and sometimes it's something you are thinking about, and sometimes it's not, but she's good about providing feedback without making it be like, this is what you need to do.
Jeff.
Coach Bluter said she expects a track meet tomorrow. What do you expect?
I was wrong about yesterday. I did not think, and we got some free throws late to get to 84, but I didn't think we would get up in the 70s and 80s. So I don't know. But yeah, it'll be up and down. I mean, I think both teams are. This is not a knock against Iowa, but both teams are better offensively than they are defensively. I think Lisa and staff and team would agree to that, and that's the way we're built. We're both skilled teams that shoot it well, and try to be as good as we can with who we have defensively. But we're not. Neither one of us is an elite defensive team, and they like to run, and I think we have to be a little careful that we can't slow it down a little bit and take the crowd out of the game if that needs to be done. I feel like that's something that I've thought about and we've talked about as a staff. Is we, if we feel like that's something that can help us, and I think we can. I think both teams can go deeper into the shot clock. When you've got Caitlin Clark who can get a shot anytime, they can go deep in the shot clock, and I think we can do that too because we got multiple kids who can, make a play late. So, yes, it'll be up and down, but I do think there's enough familiarity too, and there's enough respect for the transition game of each team that I think that I'm assuming that'll be a focus for Iowa. It's obviously been a focus for us, transition defense.
Matt.
You just brought it up. I was going to ask you about the transition part of it. Caitlin is just so quick and smooth, and everything she does transitions from one move to the next so easily. How do you begin to corral that transition game when she's got the ball in her hands coming at you full speed?
Well, your nearest defender besides the on-ball defender has to be in a position where they're able to help, because if you're just, it's hard to take away a logo three and not get to the point where she gets even with you and you're on her hip and she's keeping you on her hip and she's getting to the rim. So in order to get all the way up, or not all the way up, but most of the way up on that, okay, you've got to have somebody close that's communicating and what we call gapping the ball or helping there. I think if we can do that, that's going to be effective. And we will rotate people onto Caitlin. We will not put Tatum on her for 35 minutes, or we've got 3 people who will guard her for X amount of time, and they're just too good around her to, you know, there's only so many things you can do from a scheme standpoint, is what I'm saying. So you need somebody who's reasonably fresh and locked in to be able to guard her for 3 to 4 minutes at a time, in my opinion. And we can do that, I feel like, with what we have from a personnel standpoint. So that'll be our approach. Whether we can get it done, and you know, we're going to have to just take who we take in transition too. It's not, hey, you know, if we're telling Rachel she's got Caitlin for the next 3 minutes, that doesn't mean that she's always going to have Caitlin, because if the ball bounces long and somebody else needs to take Caitlin, somebody else will. So it's not going to be that the entire way, but rotating defenders on her.
Any other questions for Coach?
All right, good one. I was gonna brought 2 outfits, right? I mean, and got ready to get dressed yesterday. Had my black pants laid out and my blue shirt, and jumped in, pulled my black pants out, started to put them on. I'm like, wait, these are my wife's black pants. Got about halfway up. I'm like, so anyway, I told the team, I said, I'm gonna wear the same pants both days, because I don't have the pair of black pants that I thought I had. My wife's pants in our closet are kind of right next to each other. I think I got 2 pair of black pants, and I just grabbed something that looked like my black pants. So I will be wearing. Will I wear my T-shirt? No. Well, I don't know what I'm wearing. I think I'm wearing a black shirt. But anyway, same pants. So unless my wife got me some at the mall today, which she offered, but I said I don't think I need them. But so we'll see. Yeah.
Okay, Coach, thank you for your time. Good luck tomorrow, and good luck to the men today against Kansas.
Sounds good. Thank you, guys.